Good evening. Night time has arrived early. It's just a little after 8:15. Isn't it funny how the evenings draw in? Before you know where you are, it's dark at 5 or something like that. But however, we get used to the seasons, don't we? As the poet said, if winter comes, can spring be far behind? But I digress. Buddy, can you spare a dime? That came about in 1929 at the Wall Street crash when everything was wiped off shares. I think President Joe Kennedy, the father of um, President Jack Kennedy, and it was a brother Joe, I think, killed in a plane crash. He was expected to go forward, but was killed in a plane crash during the war. And or a plane probably shot down or something by the Germans. And so Joe was an ambassador to London. But he managed to hold on to money whatever way he had it. But a lot of people lost all the wealth that they had. And a lot of suicides happened because if you put your trust in money and it disappears, well then, and you're not able to cope. That what happened to Judas, 20 pieces of silver. No use to him when he betrayed our Saviour, committed suicide. What use is money? It's only there for a purpose, so as you can have a roof over your head and eat, have something to eat. That's the most basic. But Buddy, can you spare a dime? My grandfather on the Malone side, he was a master carpenter. Funny enough, it didn't transfer down the line. All his sons wasn't too good, and though my father tried to mend shoes, which he did, he the last, and so our shoes was mended and all the rest. But so it was a lot of do-it-yourself them times. But my grandfather, Lord of mercy, John Malone was his name too. He was a master carpenter. So was his father and his grandfather going back. Master carpenters come from Dunleary. They had a house in Dunleary. Going back. And that was a very rare trade because they could do work that ordinary carpenters couldn't do, intricate work, in churches and places like that, where there was intricate work required. But he went to America, the land of opportunity. Unfortunately, he landed just when the recession hit. And he was expecting his wife, my grandmother, to go, and she had a nice few children. But she didn't, and she was wise. Because, Buddy, can you spare a dime? That's what that happened. There were soup kitchens. There was no work. No work. Now it rectified itself. Roosevelt, I think, when he became president, he had something like a New Deal or something. And anyway, time, recessions don't stay forever. And things come back to normal. But when they happen, as it happened here, we had an economic war in 1932 to 1938. The British, they were bousies. They persecuted this country for hundreds of years. No other country, I don't think, suffered quite as much. Yeah. So it was an economic war when De Valera was Taoiseach stroke Prime Minister. And then in 1938, by the way, they had their paws on the ports, 4 ports, including Waterford, and 4 ports. So they gave it back to us in 1938. Thanks for the goodness, because it would have been bombed, the Germans. They bombed the North Strand, killed 32 people, and killed other ones here and there. For goodness sake, they were spouses. I think they were trying to bomb Amiens Street because that would be going up to the north. So they didn't respect neutrality. We were neutral. And Churchill gave out to Dev after the war, even though about 300 or more thousand Irish citizens from the Irish Republic was killed in the war, joined the British Army, because things was very bad. There wasn't enough work. So at least there was food and lodging and that type of thing. But they lost. They were sent to the Somme, where they were slaughtered. So then he gave out to Dev, and Dev gave him a good reply. So they were very bombastic. They crucified this country for hundreds of years with penal laws, and here they are in the economic war. So things was very, very tough. And then when the war came, there was big goes of turf up along the Phoenix Park, and I think transport used turf to go about. And some fella told me one time, because my first job was in the garage, answering the phone and doing odds and ends of that calibre, filing. They wanted something, asked me, and I was good at that, and answered the phone. Hello, but it's nice. Anyways, they said there was a fella with I don't know whether it was a Rolls Royce or some big car. We didn't go very fast. He had a baby Ford engine in it. So, funny times, weren't they? I was born as it occurred. So I don't know how I managed to, food must have been scarce. We wouldn't have had much fruit. Of course, we'd have our apples, because we had the best of apples here in this continent. There was orchards all over the place. And so we had good vegetables and potatoes and the best of it. So I don't think we did too bad. As a matter of fact, we had the ones in the north, so they were, with Britain, they were in Queer Street. They were bombed, I think. Belfast was bombed, and the 4 brigades went up here to help them out. So, we did help them, and we helped the British. We didn't get that much thanks for them. We helped them in many ways, apparently, during the war. But, buddy, can you spare a dime? That's why a lot of Irish people joined the British Army. Because, you want a jingle in your pocket, don't you? Times was hard. Buddy, can you spare a dime? In America. So the grandfather, Lord Emerson, had to come back. And I think he picked up whatever he picked up over there. He died at 47 years of age in a big family. 11 of them. But they all turned out well. The granny was reared them well. None of them ever got into trouble. And they all got good jobs. My father was a Garda. As a matter of fact, 2 of my aunts were nuns, and one of them was a Cumann. He turned out to be a nun, a very good one. Did a lot of charitable work. Fancy course. And she knew the Irish, and she taught my father and his brother Edward, and the both of them wound up in the Garda Síochána in 1928, not too long after we got our freedom. So there were tough times and dangerous. Some of them were murdered. And one Garda, where my father was stationed in County Clare, small village, a parcel come from a guard, and there's a lad was a great friend, and he said, well, I'll open it for him because he'd expect me to do that. But there was a bomb in it, and that guard was killed. And his widow had a hard time getting the pension, because they were entitled to a pension, but she got it. But so the government was, money was tight all round. So these were tough times. So, buddy, can you spare a dime? This was the way they do. This was the famous song in America, in the United States. Wouldn't have been too bad in the country, because they'd have self-sufficient, but the ones in the cities lost out. Soup kitchens. I think they have them again, because I smell a recession coming in America, in the United States, and they're talking about, when you look at Therefore, I look at EWTN and I'd have to turn it off because I don't want to hear on about the sort of stuff sometimes in their news. I think I like to hear positive news. When the Christian TV order gets going, we'll be focusing on good because there's enough of the negativity knocking about, isn't there? Don't know how you feel, but I like a bit of good news. If you're walking down the street and you know somebody's going to give you bad news, you hop across the other side. Oh, hello, off you go. You don't want to hear all the gloom and doom, do you? You want to hear a bit of jollity. So the Christian TV won't be focusing on all this negativity. Be positive stuff. What our brothers and sisters are doing good here, there, and yonder. Isn't that what you want to hear? And you'll hear it from the news on and Christian TV when it gets going. I mean, none of this whole negativity. We want it to be a bit of good news, don't we? Goodness sake. And they say bad news sells. Did you ever hear the rubbish that say onto these fellas that wants to give you bad news? So, cheerio. I thought I'd do another little video about this. I don't know how it come into my mind. I have a feeling a recession is coming. I hope it isn't. But things has gone too funny in some ways. Yeah. Bye now. Enjoy the rest of the evening. Dilly-doy-doy-doy. I'll be looking at Mother Angelica on EWTN. I like her. She's gone to her makeup, but she was very good. She used to do programs for an hour. So she's on from 8 to 9. Because another few minutes, but cheerio now. Enjoy the rest of the evening. Dilly-doy-doy-doy.